you love them. Uh-oh. Thank you all for spreading the love this morning. So, you know, when a minister has a guest come to cover their pulpit, you want to know that the community is in good hands. Reverend Mike McMorrow has invited the most loving minister I know to be with us today. In fact, I consider her to be the heart of Centers for Spiritual Living, the entire organization right here. So please welcome Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt.
So we begin the service with lighting the flames of, are we doing that? You're behind me? Lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from that one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. As Reverend Jessica lights the first candle, it is for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. The second candle we light for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. The third candle we light for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. The fourth candle we light for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. The fifth candle we light for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths as the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. The seventh candle we light for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. The eighth candle we light for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle we light for all those who are yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space that we are holding for them at this center. And I always add, for all religions unnamed in this ceremony. And as Reverend Jessica lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love.
Yes, and how grateful I am that we are all in agreement that the power and the presence of God is all that there is. That God is the center and the circumference and everything in between, and there is nothing else. We don't get to decide where God is. God is all. And how beautiful it is that we can all, just by sitting in these seats, be in that agreement that our lives is God's life. That we are living expressions of God in everything that we do. I know that this second service unfolds from that heart, from that love. Standing on the shoulders of the first service and that beautiful meditation, we're just enfolded in that awakening that God is, that love is. I know that our audiovisual and our live streamers are blessed. Our musical inspiration is blessed. Our children's church is blessed. Our ushers, and especially Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt, who comes to give us God's message falling on God's ears. I am so very grateful to be a part of this spiritual community, this oneness in God. And I know that this service changes the planet just by being in this awakening. So I release my word into the action of the law from which it came. And we can affirm this by saying, and so it is. Amen. Yes. Live streamers, don't adjust your display. I did cut my hair. All right. There's nothing wrong with your display. So, this week, I was able to experience the celebration of life for an icon in the Centers for Spiritual Living movement, Science of Mind, Religious Science, Reverend Dr. Nirvana Gale. And if you want to take a look at it, it's 3.5 hours, and it's on the Agape website. It's 3.5 hours because Agape never does anything under an hour, but it was a beautiful tribute to Dr. Nirvana. More than that, it reminded me of what I fell in love with Science of Mind. I came into religious science through Agape, and that was religious science, Agape. But I wasn't any stranger to New Thought. My grandfather, Lorenzo Fish, was a Christian scientist, and he wrote little pamphlets back in 1910 talking about being man, God, which was fascinating to grow up and know that I have that in my lineage. So at Agape, I fell in love with Ernest Holmes and his brother Fenwick. All the books I read of his and Fenwick's, all the classes I took about the teachings talked about there is nothing wrong with me, that I am an expression of God. There's nothing wrong with God. There's no separation between me and God, that God is synonymous with love. Nirvana's celebration of life reminded me how rooted in science of mind is love, that love is the basis of science of mind. I was raised Catholic, a Christian, which has 2,000 years of history behind it. I work at a Jewish high school. Judaism has got more than 3,000 years of history behind it. Most of the flames of faiths that we honor here, Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, they all have thousands of years of rich history. But Nirvana's celebration of life reminded me how much history is behind New Thought. Our Centers for Spiritual Living is based on Ernest Holmes' teaching and is considered part of the New Thought movement, not New Age, New Thought. And I grew up with science of mind being referred to as New Thought, Ancient Wisdom. And I learned how science of mind has its roots back to Plato and Socrates. That ancient wisdom part takes us way back. So I could stop feeling less than about being a new spiritual community that's not wise. We are based in ancient wisdom. I can think of no other movement that has turned so many millions of people from pessimism to optimism, to authentic love. Some refer to this movement as healthy mindedness. At Agape, I was shown how much Ernest Holmes focuses on love as the answer in science of mind teaching. So Michael Beckwith took Agape out of religious science organization around 2005, 2006. And for me to explain that would take an episode of Dr. Phil, and I'm not going to do that. All right? Anyway, I kept my Agape practitioner license, and I shot my religious science church. That's what Centers for Spiritual Living was called back then in the last millennium. And that's another episode of Dr. Phil to talk about how we changed our name. But I wanted to hang my religious science practitioner license somewhere. And I honestly, I'm telling on myself, I experienced a kind of a shell shock, because the other religious science churches that I went to outside of Agape focused more on the science of mind rather than the heart. And that was right around the time when The Secret came out, when many of the churches had kind of jettisoned the heart of what I found in Ernest Holmes' teaching, and they focused on the manifestation, get rich quick, no sweat manifestation goodie bag. Until I came here to Centers for Spiritual Living, Granada Hills, with Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt, who was at the helm at that time. When I walked through the doors in this sanctuary, I felt at home. Here was the love focus that I wanted. Yes, the science was there and the teaching was there, but the heart is here. When Reverend Mike McMorrow took over, he has kept the center in the heart, so much that we frequently call this the Center for Spiritual Loving. So here's a place to be of service, to be in action, to make a difference on this planet. Here is a place to use spiritual principle taught in science of mind teachings to reach that higher level of consciousness of love. So I just want to tell you how much I appreciate this center for giving me the opportunity to love so many people. Thank you.
We were born before the wind, also younger than the sailors cry. Smell the sea and feel the sky. Let your soul and spirit fly into the mystic. And when that foghorn blows, I will be coming home. And when that foghorn blows, I wanna hear it. But I don't wanna fear it and hurt. I wanna rock that gypsy soul, just like way back in the days of old. Yeah. Magnificently we will sail into the mystic. And when that foghorn blows, I will be coming home. Yeah. And when that foghorn blows, I wanna hear it. But I don't wanna fear it and hurt. I wanna rock your gypsy soul, just like way back in the days of old. Yeah. Magnificently we will sail into the mystic. We were born before the wind, but also younger than the sun. Ere the bonny boat was warm, as we sailed into the mystic. Thank you.
Fantastic as always. Thank you so much for that. That was beautiful. So my name is Andrea, and I am here to highlight some of the announcements. You know, before I do that, I just want to let you all know something that happened recently, and I believe in transparency and authenticity, so I can't get up here and make announcements without sharing something with you that I just found out. And that is that one of our brothers here in this community, named Michael, has suddenly made his transition. And he usually sat over there near where Reverend Kathy's sitting. He usually wore a cap, and he has sailed into the mystic. And so I would just invite us to hold him in prayer as he journeys into his greatest yet to be, and hold our brother Mel in prayer, who lived with him. And let's just open our hearts to this news and this information, as one of our brothers has sailed on. another one of our brothers has sailed on. So, having said that, let me tell you about some of the wonderful things that are happening in this community. I'm really looking forward to Friday night coming up. We have Kirtan again with Ken and friends, and I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you again for doing that these past couple months. 6:30, there is fellowship before the Kirtan starts at 7. And then Tuesday, September 13th, we are beginning some classes. Reverend Maureen Hoyt is going to be doing Exploring Roots on Tuesdays beginning September 13th at 7 o'clock. And then Thursday, beginning September 22nd, we have Science of Mind 202, The Power of Decision with Reverend Nancy, which I'm sure will also be fabulous. And the end of September, PRAC Training 2 is beginning. I want to also remind us that the Wednesday evening service is on break, so if you usually come on Wednesday nights, we're not meeting on Wednesday nights until October, and that service will resume in October. And also that bereavement support group has been canceled just for next week and will resume the following month. There are other wonderful things that are going on in this community, and you will find them listed in your beautiful programs on a sheet that looks like this. Great things, drum circles and intention setting and meditation groups and healing support and all kinds of fantastic things happening here in our community. If you're new or if you're not new, come check us out. There's some great stuff going on. Thank you.
And I know you saw the slide that we have Dr. Hirano's healing class starting on September 1st. So thank you, Andrea. Andrea is a member of our Board of Trustees. Thank you for your service. All right, so now we're all going to stand up and affirm our awakening. Ready? We believe in the one universal spirit manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe that the universal spirit is personal to and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe that our faith operates upon a law of mind, which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and in the immortality of the individual soul forever expanding. We believe in eternal goodness, eternal loving kindness, and the givingness of life to all. Let's sing. And don't feel afraid to dance around this.
We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the peace wash over us. We let it be. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the peace wash over us. We let it be. We let the love wash over us. We let the peace wash over us.
yourselves a hand. You did a good job with that. All right. So now it is my heartfelt pleasure to bring Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt, my teacher, my heart song,
Thank
the podium.
Well, good morning, God. Yes, instead of good God, morning. I know, I can't help it. It feels like a family reunion. Yeah, a little bit. I've been here before. And I like being here. I like being here. I like that there's a lot of stuff up here. Excuse me while I redecorate. I like that when you walk in the door, it smells the same. When I went back to my hometown in Kimberley, British Columbia, Canada, and I walked into the Sacred Heart Catholic Church, it smelled like it was supposed to smell. And being a tactile person, that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. I want to welcome everybody who's on the live stream today, and most especially Judy in Florida, who's watching, Reverend Jeannie Hoffman's cousin. She was a little bit, shall we say, inconsolable because I'm no longer at CSL Westlake, so she'll get to hear me today. It's a very emotional experience for me coming back to Granada Hills, and the fact that the first time that I signed my name to something and it didn't say spiritual director or pastor underneath my name on a letterhead, but that I was a member at large, or a minister at large rather, it was kind of a telling moment for me. But what I've realized since I have left Westlake is that things change always for the better. They always do. They always do. The global theme for this month, as Kathy pointed out at the first service, is beauty, nature, art, and aesthetics. Now, let me see, Mike, if I get this right. There you go. So somebody said, are you going to tell us what aesthetics means this morning? And there you go. The consummate teacher in me. The dictionary definition of aesthetics. A set of principles concerned with the nature, the appreciation of beauty, and especially in art. The branch of philosophy that deals with the principles of beauty and artistic taste. Well, you can imagine that's rife with possibility when you think about that. And we often acknowledge something that we've seen as something that is aesthetically pleasing. Like when we look at this artwork around here, no matter what your taste is, you cannot help but see that this is aesthetically pleasing. You can't help but see that somebody has within them the beauty that came out on these canvases that are around us. And what I think is aesthetically pleasing may not necessarily be what you think is aesthetically pleasing. I bought a piece of art recently, a photograph done by my friend Arpad Petras, who is an Imagineer for Disney. And his avocation is photography, and it's just phenomenal what he does. But what he had given me the option of how I wanted this piece of art framed, and he did it on metal for me. And it was a black and white photograph of a very dense forest. And it reminded me of Armstrong Grove, where we buried my parents' ashes up in Northern California. So it had significance to me, the photograph itself. It pleased me, and it pleased me because it evoked a sense memory in me, obviously. My granddaughter, on the other hand, wanted to know why I would buy a black and white picture that was dark and a little scary. So we all have different opinions as to what art represents. It is sometimes pleasing to one and not so much to another. And I love this quote by Les Brown. He says, things may happen to you, things may happen around you, but the greatest things are the ones that happen in you. Les Brown is one of the most incredible public speakers I think I've ever met in my life. He was on, oh gosh, what was it, KABC Talk Radio every afternoon, and I would plan to go places just so I could listen to his radio show because he's amazing. And what's so lovely about having had him at Westlake in the last 7 years is that he's become a personal friend, and we're currently prayer partners. Everything that happens to us is for our soul growth. And when you mentioned, Andrea, this morning about Michael's passing, I think sometimes that we get it backwards. You know, we're really sad when somebody passes away and leaves this world, when in fact, you know, we're so joyous and happy when a newborn baby comes into the world. It should be the other way around. We should be crying when the baby comes into the world because of everything they're going to have to go through in order to get to the end. And we should be happy for the one who croaked, as Abraham would say. So it seems to me like it's just backwards a little bit. But don't we become a living adjustment to the circumstances of life? We become a living adjustment to the circumstances of life. Each of us handles adversity and change in our own unique and wonderful way. Some of us rail against the injustices of life, and some of us, you know, well, something better's around the corner. You know, we have a more cavalier attitude about how things happen. And what seemingly happens to us and around us are invited into our experience in order for us to have soul growth. It's absolutely, absolutely true. You know, the older I get, the more I get that. It may seem a random accident of time or space, for instance, at the outset, but everything always happens for good in retrospect. It might take a little while for us to notice it, but we do see the gifts and our ingratitude for what adversity, what appears to be adversity, brings to us. We might have to look really hard for it, but it is there. Even when you fall down, you get back up again, right? Right? So there's a Chinese proverb that says, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Good information, good information. But in order for me to fully understand this concept that everything happens for good, I have to know that the originating spirit back of my life needs to be defined in a bigger way. When something happens to give me pause, it's an opportunity for me to figure out how to use that energizing, creative life force in a different way. Remember, it's not how big the problem is, it's how big my God is. How big is my God? We have this incredible originating experience back of everything, the formless stuff that has been bestowed upon us for our use. And we all hear this. We hear this over and over again. There's a power for good in the universe available to everyone, and you can use it. Well, how about if we turn it around a little bit? There is a power for good in the universe available to everyone, and it uses us. You know, I am here to be used. At the memorial service on Friday afternoon, Ricky Byers-Beckwith did Everyone Singing Use Me, because it is a classic in terms of the music at Agape, but it's a classic for most of us now. When we are confronted with change of any kind in our lives, God is using us for its greater good. There's an originating principle open for use by every single person in the world, but unless we are willing to take the next logical step in our evolution and make certain adjustments in our thinking and in our action, life will remain the same old, same old. It will. We'll just, vegetate our way to death. We will. We'll just kind of hang out. And nothing ever exciting is going to happen. The question for me, personally, in this last little bit, is what do I need to let go of? What do I need to let go of? And I did that Maria Kondo, The Magic of Tidying Up. Have you all seen that book? How many of you have seen that book? Well, you should. If you have junk in your house, get that book. I'm telling you, it's revolutionary. And it changes everything. It changes everything. Some lady in some place, somewhere, has some of the most beautiful clothes you've ever seen, because I tidied up. And I actually found this in my tidying up. I didn't even know I had it. It still had the tags on it. So I'm color coordinated for today, though. You should notice that. So my life was not coming from excellence for a significant period of time. And it was a supreme struggle, even in the last 6 months. I had this moment of awareness. Early last year, I was diagnosed with a gallbladder problem. I thought I was having a heart condition. Went to the cardiologist. He did all the tests. Everything is fine. You're good. You're well. He said, maybe it might be gallbladder. Well, it turns out it was. And I was so angry at one point in December that I just stood up from my desk because I was involved with a person whose behavior was horribly inconsistent with his perfection. And you can use that. You can use that. And I stood up from my desk, and my administrative assistant was in her office, which wasn't too far away. And I said, I am so incredibly galled by his behavior. And she came and stood at my door and she went, did you just hear yourself? And I realized that it had been a year-long experience of feeling galled by his behavior. Well, I had my gallbladder and gallstones out on February 1st, and the guy quit, and guess what? I feel good. I feel really good about that. Ralph Marston, one of my favorites, said, excellence is not a skill, it's an attitude. Excellence is not a skill, because we can't really measure one another's excellence or what we think about as our excellence. In the last year and a half, my attitude was not excellent. It was not. I was not happy doing what I was doing. And the beauty of life, the aesthetics of life, were blurred by the doingness of life instead of the beingness of life. Make no mistake about it, an aesthetically pleasing life is one where excellence is a given. Excellence is a given. And mine was not reflecting that excellence. My life, there was drudgery on so many different levels. And dealing with personalities instead of living by principle. It became onerous, to say the least. So I began to investigate the idea of making a transition to something greater, something better, something different. I didn't know what that was going to be. I had no idea, because we know that God always says yes, as Kathy pointed out so beautifully in her talk this morning, that whatever idea we release to the law, it is a foregone conclusion that something was going to change in the effect. But the change that needed to take place first was the one in me. I can't change anything at the level of effect unless I change my perception of what's going on at the level of effect. And you see, I am not now, nor now have I ever been the problem. You are not now, nor have you ever been the problem. It's what we think about that's the problem. And so my thinking was stinking. My thinking was stinking. And whether it's, when I said earlier that we're a living adjustment to the circumstances of life, whether it's a job change or whether it's getting a divorce or moving far away from the familiar, if you will, the death of a loved one or retirement, there are 3 phases to making transition. And they are ending, confusion and disorientation, and beginning. Well, we know what the endings are. Relationship ends, job ends, someone passes away, we move away. Those are all endings. They're all different kinds of endings. I mean, even a person who graduates from high school, it's an ending. But there's a new beginning on the horizon, particularly if they happen to go off to college. So there's always a new beginning somewhere, but there's that awful place in between of confusion and disorientation. You know, the joke is in 12-step program that no door closes where another door doesn't open. But sometimes the hallways are, and can I say the word? They're a bitch. Sorry. Okay, so I said it. I swore from the pulpit. I could say all the swear words in the world, but I've never done that before. But it's true. We get caught in the hallways of life, right? We get caught in the hallways of life. And that's where the confusion and the disorientation is. And I'm thinking about teaching a class on this at some point in time, because I realize that the way things are going right now, there are so many people who are in transitions of one form or another. And there is a way through. But many people end up staying in the confusion and disorientation. And it is so difficult. It is just so difficult. We understand the premise of ending. We understand the premise of beginning. But what really gets us stuck is that hallway. It really does. And it's especially difficult for people who might not have a strong spiritual program. And for those of us who do, that would be everyone here, right? Almost everyone here, unless you've not been here before. Anybody here for the first time today? No? Well, there you go. We understand basic Emma Curtis Hopkins, right? She says, there is no spot where God is not, and there is no space without God's grace. We have to understand that completely. Otherwise, we'd go crazy reading Facebook, wouldn't we? We'd go crazy reading what some people post on Facebook. I've actually had moments where I have forgotten that simple truth. And those were the moments when I thought I was abandoned by God. But I wasn't abandoned by God. I'd abandoned God. You know, that's how it works. That's how it works. There are essentially 5 things to do to restore the aesthetics of life, so we can see and we can feel the beauty that surrounds us. And some of these are going to be a challenge for some of us, because we might have latched onto these ideas. We latch onto ideas as a way of life. They're not really a way of life, but we've created a 3-act play around them. And by God, this is my life. You know, this is my life. And I'm going to live it this way. Well, if we can release these things, they're going to bless us and show us the way. And everything can change for the better. The 5 things are trying to please everyone. Anybody get that? Fearing change, living in the past, putting yourself down and overthinking. Well, trying to please everyone. Well, the question to that one is, how's that working for you? How's that working for you? Because it's not going to happen. The ideal, at my advanced stage, I've discovered that if I do what pleases me, then I'm home free. I'm home free. That had to come very late in life for me, because I was raised as a people pleaser. I was. Be a good girl, Maureen. Don't take the last cookie on the plate. Maureen, you go ahead and apologize first. All of those kinds of things that we grew up with. Fearing change. Taking the next logical step can be terrifying for some of us, but if something new is needed, then it is blessed by the grace of God. As Gary Keller said in his book, The One Thing, I know Reverend Mike did a series of talks on that. Reverend Mike, I just adore that man. I mean, I just adore that man, and I adore Stephanie. And I just know that this was a match made in heaven on earth. I mean, just a beautiful match. But in that book, Gary Keller said, what is the one thing that we could do today if in doing that one thing would change the trajectory of our whole life? What is the one thing? You don't have to do 12 things. You don't have to do 5 things. You only have to do one thing with excellence. That's all. One thing with excellence. You lay your head on the pillow at night and you say, I did that one thing with excellence. It's a beautiful thing. We all have a one thing. Make no mistake about it. And we may have to do some serious soul searching to find out exactly what it is. But believe me, when we do, the value that we receive from having done that one thing will change the trajectory of our whole lives. Living in the past. The past is for information only. Period. The end. Information only. It has no relevance today except as a benchmark for what we can't do. Okay, breathe. We cannot continue to relive the past if we're going to create a new chapter in our lives. That's just the bottom line. God is in the present moment. And when we find it necessary to look at our past, we must do it from today's consciousness and not the consciousness that created whatever that problem is. That was maybe an unenlightened consciousness. Can-do experiences only happen in the present moment. Putting yourself down. We might not like to hear this, but if you are one of those people who does that, I discovered something really sinister about myself quite a while ago. And if I put myself down in the presence of other people, or someone who cared about me particularly, the tendency was for them to deny my poor opinion of myself. It was calculated. It was always calculated. And it actually, I kind of got off on it a little bit. You know, I remember that feeling, you know. It's sad. It's a sad, sad plea for the sympathy vote and a subversive attempt for the other person to build us up. The conversation then becomes, I'm such a boob. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am. And this tug of war happens, and I'll give you the Terry Cole Whitaker metaphysical interpretation of that. Stop that. I mean, seriously, she used to say that all the time. Stop that. Why would any enlightened being associate with a boob anyway? You know, how does that work? And lastly, overthinking everything. We seem to want to intellectualize spirit instead of spiritualizing the intellect. What the heck is that all about? Don't overthink this idea of a creative intelligence in the universe. Do not try to name the ineffable, as it's impossible. Simply accept the idea of God as energy. If you get a chance to see this Facebook video of this 13-year-old physicist talking about God, find it. 13-year-old physicist talking about God. Just put it in there. Google it. It'll come up on YouTube. And you listen. It's a long thing to listen to. But when you hear him talk about Genesis and how the story of Genesis relates to science and physics, it's amazing. 13 years old. 13 years old. You know, we cannot see the wind, but we can see what the wind does. We cannot see God, but we can see what God does. And in that sense of the word, we can see the activity of God by means of each and every person here. I know I'm going way over today, but do not, under any circumstances, believe everything you think. Don't do that, because, you know, you could get into trouble. The principles of beauty and artistic taste are God-ordained. They are. They're God-ordained. They represent what Ernest Holmes refers to as the heavenly host moment. And Kathy, you know, so cute, Kathy, you talked about Helen Street this morning, but one of her my favorite talks of hers at Asilomar was called The Heavenly Host. And she talked about it as her epiphany, as her moment of awareness of God by means of her. And so the moment when we look at the person we love, the moment, even in their misery or their adversity, for instance, when we see beauty, and it's also at that moment too, and this is the hard part, when we look at a person we despise, and some of you can address that on Facebook later, but not right now, and we know this is someone who is someone's son or daughter, then we might be able to look at it differently. Ernest Holmes says, when we have as much compassion for the murderer as we do for the one murdered, we will have arrived spiritually. So think about that next time you see something on Facebook about somebody. You know, it's being able to separate the act from the actor and having compassion for their seeming stupidity, intolerable behavior, or their lack of awareness, because that's apparently the best they can do at that moment. Anger heals nothing in the physical reality. It's only a catalyst for change. It's only a catalyst for change. And the biggest change right now has to begin with each one of you. Your time as a caterpillar has expired. Your wings are waiting for you to take them on. And when we're in the middle of confusion sometimes and the disorientation of transition, like this country is right now, it's difficult to find anything aesthetically pleasing. But as good religious scientists, I gotta say this, we are compelled to do that. We must be the voice of reason in such unreasonable times, because we know unequivocally, whoops, I do it backwards, with God, all things are possible. Will you join me in consciousness, please? And go to that beautiful space, that sacred space, that inner sanctuary that is within each one of us, that has never been violated, that knows nothing outside that pure essence of spirit. And just simply dwell in the presence of spirit, knowing that the creative intelligence of the universe was clever enough to birth me. As I speak this truth in the first person for all here present, that the birth of every person here today is no accident. It is not an accident that we are all here gathered together today in this sanctuary. It is in fact a divine appointment. It is in fact a sacred contract that each one of us has made with every other person here to dress up and show up and to be fully present for the Center for Spiritual Living, Granada Hills. And to know that the fearless leader, Reverend Michael McMorrow, is out having fun, doing something for his own soul growth, far away and yet right here in spirit. Because the energy of every word that has ever been spoken in this sanctuary, every prayer that has ever been uttered, is hanging in the ethers. It is here. It is now. We are the ones. God has given us the privilege of having this phenomenal teaching to take out into our world. And as we do so today, we do it from that place where we know we've learned enough about the letter of the law. Let's go out and use the spirit of the law. That's I love me. Let's say that together. I love me. And knowing that is the truth. And that's what goes forth to be, to do, and to emanate this teaching in a grand and glorious way. I just simply say I'm in gratitude, unbelievable gratitude, for the opportunity to share at this level as we say together, and so it is.
This everything can be replaced. This everything every distance is not so near. So I remember every face and every thought that put me here. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east, yeah. And any day now, any day now, I shall be released, yeah. They say every man needs protection. They say every man he must fall. Yet I swear I can see my reflection somewhere high above this world. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. And any day now, any day now, I shall be Yonder stands a man in this lonely crowd, a man who swears he's not to blame, but all day long I can hear him shouting so loud, just crying out that he was brave. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east, yeah. But any day now, any day now, I shall be released. Yeah, yeah, any day now, any day now, I shall be released.
We are so blessed with such beautiful musical inspiration. And I would like to give Dr. Maureen some more love.
I'd like to just make a quick announcement. Next week we have the Four Friends, the singers, the Four Friends. And they will be here. They're a fantastic group, and you all will love it.
Just to let you know, two of the friends are moving to Palm Springs, so this is probably going to be one of the last Los Angeles appearances of Four Friends. So pass the word around and come and see us.
What day, when?
Next Sunday. Yeah, they'll be here.
Oh, they'll be here.
at
They'll be here
Granada,
for
yeah.
service.
Yes. Both
Both
For services.
Yeah.
And just to know, One Flower is going to be one of those songs, so.
Yes.
All right, tell your friends. Come for the message and enjoy the music. So now is our time for our conscious giving. And as Reverend Carol Traylor used to say, we're going to wait until I hear all the little of all the checks being written right now. I'll have the ushers come
I am
forward.
so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Okay, we got everybody, right? All right. So I want you to rub your hands together and extend them out over these offerings. For this is our conscious giving, our conscious expression of God, that we bless these gifts, these offerings, knowing that yes, they do keep the lights on here, but they also multiply and ripple out through the community of Granada Hills, out through the schools, out through the election, out through the government, out through the entire planet, that we have changed the planet today with this service and with these gifts, that we are making a difference, that we are creating a world that works for everyone. So I want you then to take your hands and then put them back onto your hearts and see how these gifts, this giving, this conscious giving, has returned to each one of us, that this is a circulation that we are doing. We are not spending money, we are circulating it. We are circulating the energy of love. And with that, we are blessed, our giving is blessed, and I want to thank Bill and Jan for being our ushers today. Thank you so much. Okay. So, while we're waiting for the children to come in, here we go. Woohoo! I'm excited. All right, who gets to talk first? The youth? Oh, Ben. Here you go, Ben.
So we did a treasure hunt and we looked at things from new perspectives.
Very nice. And the youth? Oh, Chloe, okay.
We talked about God, and we said that we are thankful for our friends and family, and I'm glad that Maureen is back with us.
I want to thank the parents for letting us have your children for the moments these we have on Sunday. They are such a gift to us. Because without them, what's the future? It can be all just white hairs like us, and then once we're gone, where's the center, right? Right there. All right, so I'm going to invite Okay. I'm going to invite all of our practitioners to stand up and circle the room. And if there's something in your heart that needs healing, or someone, just put that into this immense field of possibilities, this immense field of love that is awakened here. And just feeling that, yes, we are one with God's life, that God's life is eternal, that God's life is our life, then it does work through us, as us. And that we know that as we go forth this week, that we are beautiful, that we are aesthetic, that we are beautiful in that sense, that metaphysical sense that everything is in its divine right order. That there's nothing out of place, that we are in alignment with our perfection, that we are conscious, awake, and aware of our spiritual magnificence, that we are absolutely the greatest expression of God that we are. So we can breathe that in, we can breathe that out. We know that there is no spot where God is not. We're grateful to be in this community, to be in this agreement, to feel this love energy that is ours expanding out in all 6 directions, north, south, east, west, up and down, everywhere. And we accept that the planet is changed because of who and what we are, because of God showing up as us. And so we just know that, we accept it, we relax into it, we let it be. And we can affirm this by saying, and so it is.
Please
Let's all
stand for the
stand
peace
up.
song.
Yeah. Okay.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. If you want to jam on the organ, it's up to you. And
Do that in F sharp. F sharp.
oh, hey, can you hear that big? F sharp minor B7. F sharp. This
you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day. Hey, Spirit, thank you for this day. For this healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day. Hey, Spirit, thank you for this day. Go. Healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. I wanna say thank you. Yeah. Great. Thank you guys. Beautiful.
All right. Every time he does that. Dude, we should totally do Use Me if they're cool with it. What key is it in? Love that song. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very funny. Yeah, it's a beautiful tune. Yeah.